So an investor looks like you look like, you know, they look like you.
And it's funny that you say that because me growing up, I didn't see that.
Right.
I wasn't taught that. I didn't see that. I wasn't in the company of very many people that were investors or wealthy. Not that you have to be wealthy to be an investor, but that's what I pictured. That was in my mind. You have to be wealthy to invest. And I wonder, Larrae, if that was your experience growing up.
And, you know, I was actually going to chime in on that because I was going to say a lot of times where you're not accustomed to like saving or it wasn't really implemented into like a regimen for you, it's hard to kind of be thrown into it. And I'll speak more about it from my own experience because I know growing up, I didn't really get an allowance. You know, I would just usually ask my mom like, oh, I want to get this, I want to get that. You know, she did it for me. So I didn't really have the option of like getting my own money and saving it and doing the responsible thing, you know? So then leading up to college, it's like, okay, I'm in college now. You know, they give me a little refund check. I get my books, then I get cool stuff that I like. And then, of course, there are always creditors there. Oh, sign up for this credit card. Get $500 bonus. Do this, do that. And I have two older sisters. And my older sister, she worked at a bank for like a long time. And so one thing about it is that she set me up with a savings account. And so she didn't really tell me about it until I got older, which was cool. I respected that. She set me up with the ING direct account, and she also put some stock in my name. And so I think when I was about like maybe 19 or 20, I think it was like maybe was I sophomore or junior? But I think I was either sophomore or junior in college. And I think ING Direct was closing or they were going under a new name. And so they sent checks out to people who had accounts with them. And I'm like, whoa, where'd this check come from? It was a sizable amount. So I called my sister. And so she's like, oh, yeah, they're closing. She says, I would recommend that you just, you know, put into your savings account. You know, she told, I forgot the name at the time of a savings account that she set up for me. She says, you know, the interest rate is pretty good. You accumulate more money. And to me, it sounded like blah, 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 blah. Needless to say, I didn't do the responsible thing about it. And at the time, you know, I really didn't appreciate what she was setting me up with. I was just like, oh, wow, this is a blessing. I needed this money. And so, unfortunately for me, I didn't have a lot of adults in my life who really explained to me, like, you know, what credit is about, you know, how to save it, how to attain the things that you want without having to hustle for it, you know, to get what you want.
Right.
So I think that's really good to hear because even as a young adult now, it's like I'm still implementing like the whole concept of saving and investing. And even now it's kind of like difficult. I was really proud of myself for a while because I had a pretty good savings account. Next thing you know, oh, I need a new roof. Oh, the hot water heater busted. Now I'm like, oh, great. You know, so I say all that to say that I'm still learning. It's a learning process. And I feel like, you know, going through what I've been through, I need to like think more responsibly and invest more. I feel like if I save as much as I invest, then I would be pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good system to use, right?
And that was great of your sister to do that for you. Because one of the things that Cindy referred to earlier, I have a blog post about like instead of buying your kid a new iPhone for Christmas, put $500 in a Robinhood account and then buy them a few stocks, you know, and just so I've been meaning to do that for my kids for a while now. So props to your sister for doing it like years ago, because I've been meaning to do it for my kids and, you know, buy them a few stocks that they actually might follow, like, you know, Amazon, or you can buy a fractional share, or, you know, Starbucks or something, so that they'll actually get a kick out of watching it go up every day or go down every day. And it's just a little bit to kind of, again, take away the fear, teach them to do stuff like watch it, and then, you know, get out of it if they think, okay, you know what, time to get out of this. It just, that little bit, that $500 in a Robinhood account will really change their mindset. And you got that check from ING and you didn't have to work for that. You know what I mean? That's lovely. You know, it's one thing to like be out here killing yourself. And it's another thing to have a check just come in the mail, and you're like, whoa. That's why my son got interested in investing, because I was getting dividend checks. I own JP Morgan stock, and so I was getting dividend checks. He was like, where are these checks coming from? And I'm like, oh. So I explained the concept of a dividend. So I say in that blog post, in addition to giving them 1 or 2 shares of something like Starbucks or something that they might like and use, put in 1 or 2 dividend stocks like a JP Morgan or something like that, because then they'll get dividend checks. And then one thing you may want to do, if people are fearful, you can do something like a Procter & Gamble stock or Exxon, which is what we call a Sominex stock. Mm-hmm. Procter & Gamble, if you look back at what it's done the last couple of years, it's been like this.
Very steady.
Steady and going up, because people are going to buy, no matter what's happening with the economy, they're going to buy soap powder. You need to buy diapers. You need to buy all the what they call consumer goods. People are going to buy that. They have to buy it no matter what's going on. And same thing with gas and Exxon. So, a combination of something like interesting and cool, like Starbucks and Apple, something that's like a dividend stock like JP Morgan. I think I mentioned another 1 or 2, Verizon and AT&T, and then something like really stable, like a Procter & Gamble and Exxon. And you can put together a little $500 portfolio with 1 share of each of those, and just get your kid used to doing this. And I wish I had done it with mine. Despite the fact that I do this for a living, I wasn't really good about raising my kids to do it. And so I realized it belatedly, and I'm trying to make amends for it.
And again, I think it's interesting that there's not a lot of difference from my experience to Larrae's experience to yours.
Right.
I didn't have people encouraging me to do this. I don't know that I had family. Well, I probably did, but it wasn't not something that was strongly encouraged or taught. So therefore, it was scary. The thing that got me interested was back when Clinton was president, because doors started, more information. Well, the internet was relatively new, right? So then that provided more information, and then that provided more information for me that I wasn't raised with. You know what I'm saying? Probably not saying that.
So you've been involved for a while then. If you started kind of getting interested.
Well, yes and no. So I bought mutual funds back then, and I started trying to read up on investing in stocks, but I never really purchased stocks. I tried to get my husband at the time to let's do this for us, for our future. And he was afraid. And I wasn't in a position or knowledgeable enough to be able to quell that fear.
Right.
So I just let it go. But I did buy mutual funds. So I purchased mutual funds for my kids, which grew pretty well. So when they went off to college, or they turned 18, one went off to college, one did not. But they got a nice little check.
Right, which is nice. And that's the other thing you can do. I'm so glad you brought that point up, that you don't have to buy individual stocks. So a lot of the ones that you mentioned, I'm not sure about Robinhood, I'm not sure about Stash, but people should investigate, because if you don't want to buy individual stocks, you can absolutely buy mutual funds. Yes. And a mutual fund is just investors like us investing mutually. And so you pick the type of fund, but the portfolio manager decides which stocks go in that fund. So if you decide to buy a tech mutual fund, the portfolio manager might like Apple and Microsoft, but maybe they don't like Google and something else. So they think Apple and Microsoft are going to go up. They'll buy those 2 tech stocks, but maybe not everything else. So you can kind of, I won't say relax, but you're putting your money into the hands of a professional investor. Now, that doesn't always mean they're going to always do well, but you don't have to think about the individual stocks. Right. I do both. Obviously, you do both, mutual funds and individual stocks. And so the more sophisticated you get, you may want to do both. But if you just don't, you just don't really have the time, you can do mutual funds. And an index fund is one thing we explain on the website. An index fund just mimics the market. And so you can do that. And so, even the portfolio manager doesn't really care what stocks are in there. They're just trying to mimic whatever the market does. So if the market goes up, that fund goes up. If the market goes down, that fund will go down. And that's an index fund. So you can do an index fund or different types of mutual funds. And those are some of the things we explain on Millie Money.
Absolutely. And just so everybody knows, the platforms that we're mentioning, the Stash, the Robinhood, Acorn, we are not selling these or them in any way. This is all based on experience for all of us. So I don't want anybody to think that we're trying to push these particular platforms for a reason other than informational purposes.
Right.
I personally have done Stash and Robinhood, and I liked them both. And I just want to say, I don't know if this is good. I don't know if you'll agree with this, Shelly, but I funded my entire vacation this year from Stash and Robinhood. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to take a nice long vacation to Florida with my husband. Mm-hmm. And so I started investing pretty aggressively for about not even a year. And I actually made and saved enough.
Ooh, good for you.
Yeah, because I was putting a lot of money in, you know, and I was buying and selling and things like that. But that, let me just say, that does not make me an expert in it by any means. Right. So I say all that to say that, you know, it wasn't like I gained thousands of dollars, but investing that money and then having it earn, I was able to fund that vacation.
Right. And that's a great point. Well, just to reiterate what you said, I don't have any interest in, you know, Robinhood. I'm not pushing that one for that or Stash or Acorns or any of them. I have a Robinhood account, which I haven't used yet. So I still use a broker. So that's an advantage that millennials have, because on the mobile apps, they're just, you know what I mean? They will probably adopt that as a habit much faster than I would. Mm-hmm. But you're absolutely right. We don't have any interest in those, nor in the stocks that I mentioned. So I don't own Procter & Gamble. I don't own, I own Amazon, but I don't own Procter & Gamble and most of the ones that I mentioned, and wouldn't necessarily recommend them because I'm not holding myself out as an expert. What we hope to do on Millie Money is interview an analyst who covers, you know, Starbucks or Amazon or something like that for a living. That's what they do. And they can give you the pros and cons. But I think in terms of you paying for your vacation, it's much better than doing it on a credit card.
Yes, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's much better than I'm going to whip out my credit card and charge my vacation. And when I get back, I've got that debt at
I'll worry about that when when the time comes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you're right.
So that is a much better approach to saving, you know, for a vacation, saving for something you want. And I went to a financial conference recently, and this guy wrote a book. It was a very popular book. I hadn't read it, and now he's got another one, and it was about getting rich. I Will Teach You to Be Rich, I think is the name of his book. And so I got a chance. He signed my book because I want a copy and all of that kind of stuff. And, you know, his point now is, and there's another woman who does something similar, and she was just saying, in terms of, you can't cut everything great out of your life.
Right.
You know what? You have to decide, I'm going to let some stuff go, but on the stuff I really care about, like this vacation to spend time with my husband, I'm going to spend money on that.
Yes.
So, you know, I may say, I'm going to do my own nails. Mm-hmm. I'm going to forego, you know, my latte every day, whatever it is, but I refuse to cut back on my Y. So I'll cut out Z, but Y I got to have. And that's how you kind of live a rich life. So the point of this investing is not just to invest to have money, although it is, but it is to invest to do stuff. One, so you can live in retirement, but you can also do stuff like you're doing now, which is, I'm going to go to Florida, have a great vacation. And when I come back, that vacation's already been paid for. I don't have to worry about it anymore. It's not going to be showing up on my credit card statements 2 years from now. You know what I mean? I'm not going to still be paying interest on it. So that was the point of that, of saving that money.
Yeah, well, it was a big help. And I rationalized it because we had just got married in December, and we went in May, the end of May. So I figured that's like our honeymoon.
Yes, honeymoon. So, good for you.
It was worth it. So I had to come back and start all over, essentially.
Right.
Well, sort of. My retirement account, I can't really touch that. So I had to start my personal account. But that's okay. So now I'm just investing in it just for the sake of saving and investing and, you know, making my money earn me some money for it.
Right. Good for you.
So I have a question. Oh, Larrae, you go ahead if you wanted to say. I don't want to interrupt.
I had a question because I know another thing that some people are doing, like now with like the 401ks and the pensions and all those other